Oh, what is up? What's going on, my guys? Thank you for being here. I appreciate all of you. Again, thank you for tuning in to the Take Flight Spit and Fire podcast, where I'm going to talk to you guys, like always, about the New York Jets, let you know what has gone down. And man, good stuff has gone down. We should be excited. I mean, see some people coming in, like always. Shout out, welcome aboard. Thank you guys for coming in. Again, this is the Take Flight Spit and Fire podcast. So happy to have all of you here with me. Thank you for tuning in on your Monday evening. Glad to be here. So let's jump in with Jets free agency. Now, it's very interesting what they've done. Remember, we talked last week about a lot of big splashes people wanted the Jets to do. You know, they didn't get Thuney. Oh, no. But when we took a step back and we looked at it, Joe had a great free agency. I tweeted it out myself. He did really, really well. I mean, he really, really did. If you look at the things he's done, you know, just off the board right here, you know, he's filled positions of need. He's went for players that the Jets have needed, and he hasn't gone for, you know, insane money deals. Like, for example, there's been a couple of big money deals. Lawson was one, man deserving of it. He's not doling out money like you remember Mike McCagnon did to guys that didn't even deserve it. And when we stopped and looked at it, it's actually quite impressive. On paper, when we look at everything that Joe's done, it really is quite impressive. So, we said before, Joe addressed a lot of big needs of the New York Jets. To start off, let's look at wide receiver. Wide receiver has been a big hole for us for a long time. We've needed legit wide receivers. Oh, my man Turtle Man just popped in again. Like I tell you guys always, that's the beauty of being live. You can always comment, bring in, ask me questions, mention something. If you guys see right here, the Giants signed Adoree Jackson. I mean, if you guys remember, I gave my take on Adoree. I was a little, indifferent about it. So Adoree Jackson is a young dude, but he's been hurt the last 2 years. The last 2 years, he's failed to stay healthy consistently through the whole seasons. But, Donnie, appreciate you being here. Shout out again. Thanks, you guys, for being here. Much appreciated. But with, so you're saying it's good money. Yeah. So Adoree Jackson got paid. That's what happened. The Giants paid Adoree Jackson. And if you look at what the Giants have done, they're making a statement, just minor on the Giants for a second. They went and got a wide receiver one. They've now signed what could be a cornerback one. So again, the best way to look at Adoree Jackson, he's still young. I mean, he's still a young guy, decently unproven, but when he's played, he's looked like a CB1. But the last 2 years, he's been hurt. He's been injured a lot the last 2 years. So that was the big issue with him. I bet that was Joe's problem with him as well. So again, we didn't get Adoree Jackson. I'm going to mention that. We're going to get to the cornerback situation, but talking about the things we did hit on. So going back through the list. So the Jets needed wide receivers. That was a thing. We all knew that. We needed wide receivers. Well, Douglas went out and got Corey Davis. Now, Corey Davis was the 5th overall pick. If you remember back in 2017, 5th overall off the whole board. He was the first wide receiver to go. Reason that was is at Western Michigan, he killed it. At Western Michigan, this dude had over 5,278 yards. He averaged just about 16 a carry, reception. So in 4 years, he averaged 16 yards for the whole thing, and he had over 50 touchdowns. Over 5,200 yards, 50 touchdowns. And that's what got him drafted high. Now, since being in the NFL, he hasn't really lived up to that 5th overall status until last season. Before that, he looked good, but it was more in flashes. Last season, he had a career year, ironically, in a contract year, got him paid. The Jets paid him. I'm going to get to why I think, he's an excellent addition. But in the last year, he had 984 yards, just about 20 shy of 1,000, which we need a 1,000-yard receiver. That was always the benchmark. The benchmark for a great receiver, the benchmark for a great season, even a wide receiver one, is consistent 1,000-yard years. Last year, Corey Mims, putting them together. Corey Davis was pretty close. Corey Davis was just 20 yards away from 1,000. He had 5 touchdowns last season, but he had a PFF of 86.9. 86.9. He ranked as one of the better wide receivers in the entire NFL last year. Now, we didn't get Kenny Golladay. The Giants got Kenny Golladay. Yes, that was a true wide receiver 1. But there's a little bit of a stigma, where people say you need a wide receiver 1. Yeah, it's great to have a wide receiver 1. I mean, hey, everyone would love a wide receiver 1, a guy like Kenny Golladay. But another important thing is depth. Another important thing is multiple options, guys that consistently can go. It's better, if you have one great wide receiver, it's better to have 3 or 4 pretty damn good wide receivers. So again, we have Corey Davis, who again was the 5th overall pick, lit it up at Western Michigan, almost 1,000 yards last season. He's a wide receiver 2 on his worst days with wide receiver 1 potential. He's looked like a wide receiver 1 at times. You guys remember my take last week. I think it was either last week or the week before on Denzel Mims. People saying, Mims can't be a wide receiver 1. You remember my answer. I said, why the hell not? I showed all the stats. I showed that guys like Golladay, Godwin, Allen Robinson, they all did the same thing Mims did in their rookie year. Remember, he was a rookie. He's had 1 year. People forget he was supposed to be a first-round pick. Denzel Mims was projected in the first round. I did a lot more mocks last year. I did too many mocks for my own good. Did like 40 mocks. Mims never fell to me. Mims was always gone in the first round. So that was that. Denzel Mims can totally be a wide receiver 1. But just like Corey Davis, he's a wide receiver 2 on his worst day with wide receiver 1 potential. That's a great combo right there. Now you factor in Jamison Crowder, your slot receiver, who's consistently been one of the best slot receivers in the league. Man, I hope you guys maybe agree with me. Maybe some of you don't. I don't get what was going on for all those, couple of months with getting rid of Crowder. That didn't make any sense to me. Just because he doesn't maybe fit the new scheme, you line up guys on the inside. You have a guy like Crowder that's very agile. He can line up really anywhere on the inside. If you're doing multiple wide receiver sets, you don't have to have just a traditional slot feature, but the beauty of Jamison Crowder is people wanted guys like Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel, guys, he got overpaid a little bit because Samuel had 1 solid year last year. He was good last year, over 1,000 all-purpose yards. What did he do before that? What was he doing before that? He got paid on 1 year of production. Jamison Crowder, since being in the NFL, even with the Redskins, we're not even the Redskins anymore, he has been consistently one of the best slot receivers in the league. Now, we also signed Keelan Cole. Now, if you guys, a lot of you guys follow me, Keelan Cole was one of my sleepers. He was a guy I really liked. I had 3 wide receiver sleepers in free agency. One was Cole. My top one was Higgins. You guys remember my stats on Higgins, man. I was high on Higgins. Higgins has wide receiver 2 potential written all over him if someone just gives him a chance. Please give that kid a chance, Cleveland. Please do it. But he got re-signed. And the other one was Kendrick Bourne, and he also got overpaid. Bourne got an insane contract. Cole got a 1-year deal. Cole's getting $5.5 million. That's a Joe Douglas contract. He's not overpaying for guys like a Bourne. Even though he played for San Francisco, I don't have it in front of me. Any of you guys know if you want to shoot it out. But I think Bourne got like 20-something. Bourne got paid. Bourne got more money than he ever should have made. So Keelan Cole, just throwing it out, just tell you guys a little bit about him. He was an undrafted guy. In over the 4 years that he's played in the NFL, he has over 2,200 yards, about 14 average a catch, and 12 touchdowns. That's not bad. I mean, it's not fantastic, but it's not bad. And you guys have seen, the footage of Jets been putting up a Cole. I put some stuff up a Cole. He's a wide receiver 3 that has wide receiver 2 potential. On his best days, he's a wide receiver 2. Now we talked, Jenny mentions, bringing up Juju. I wasn't a fan of Juju. Man, I just saying it for a second, I kind of called it. Because if you guys remember, I said, I wouldn't pay Juju more than 8 million, maybe 10 tops. And everyone was like, man, you're crazy. Man, that's nuts. Juju's going to get paid. And that's why I didn't want him. I didn't want Juju because I thought he was going to get paid. And I figured he was going to get 12, 14 plus million a year. And it just hasn't been there. He was great in 2017 and 18 when he had Antonio Brown. But since then, he's been okay. He's been average. Yep. That's a good point, my well, man. Good point. Yep. Shout out to Turtle Man. Shout out. Appreciate you guys being here. Again, like always, chime in the comment section, ask questions, be part of the conversation. Love it. Appreciate all you guys being here. So again, you add Cole in that situation. That's not a bad wide receiver core. I mean, Davis, Mims, Crowder, Cole, for depth, Berrios, both Smiths. Vincent Smith is coming off that injury. Man, I remember, last year when they said he ripped his core muscles, man, I felt that. So hopefully he's better. Hopefully he's, got it together. Jeff Smith's got a lot of potential. That kid's a burner. Lawrence Cager is going to be back. I feel like Cager could be an excellent red zone threat. That's my way I look at Cager. He's not the fastest guy. He's not the quickest guy. But if you remember in the limited play he had last year, same thing if you watched him at Georgia, he's got good hands. Yep. Like Joel says, freak injury. Things happen. I've mentioned it before if you guys want to check it out, the way I look at injuries. Injuries like that, don't bother me as much, or things like that happen. But with Cager, I think he could definitely be a red zone threat. So there's some depth there, which is really exciting. And so that's wide receiver. So Donnie, I appreciate that question. I want to come back to that. So I was actually going to end, good shout out. I was actually going to end with coming back to a couple of guys. Or actually, what I'm going to do is while I'm talking about it, I'll mention guys in there that I would still possibly sign. So actually, in my opinion, at wide receiver, I think we're pretty good except the draft. At wide receiver, we could potentially go wide receiver high, but I don't see it anymore. I'll be honest. I don't see it in the cards. I think the combination we have right now is pretty damn solid. So I think if we take a wide receiver, it's going to be in the later rounds. And if you guys want to check him out, see some footage, guys I like in the later rounds, Marquez Stevenson from Houston, Jonathan Adams Jr. from Arkansas State, Nico Collins from Michigan, Dwayne Eskridge, all guys definitely check out. All four of those guys could be, anywhere from like a 4th to 5th to 6th, even 7th round pick. And that's probably what we're going to do now with what we've done. Like Donnie says, yeah, I agree, my man, Donnie. I like the wide receivers right now. Again, Davis and Mims. Mims got even more of that wide receiver one potential. You got Crowder in the slot. You got depth there, like we said, with all those other guys. I'm excited about that. So that's good with wide receiver. Quarterback, you guys know I want Zach Wilson. You guys saw my first podcast. If you didn't, check it out. Remember, I went into what I personally look for. Remember, as you saw, it's very unique. I don't read anybody else's stuff. I don't look at the things they look for. There's very specific things I look for when it comes to quarterbacks. And if you check out the first podcast, you'll be able to see that. So Zach Wilson, no question, 2nd overall pick, done. So halfback. I actually think, unlike some people want to realize, we're not that bad off right now. If you guys remember in the Vegas game, Josh Adams and Ty Johnson killed it together. Two of them had about 170-something yards, I believe, between the two of them. Now, they complement each other well, too. Ty Johnson is a speed back, very elusive, very quick, decent pass catcher. Josh Adams is a bruiser. Josh Adams is, run between the tackles, straight line, knock a dude down, run through him. Together, they make a decent tandem. Now, are we set at running back? No, we can always use, more running backs. But I don't think, as we've talked about before, the running back just ain't the glamour position anymore. I've said it on my takes. The only way I saw the Jets going high with running back is if we got Watson. That was it. I thought if we got Watson, we get an ETN, another Clemson guy, that'd be awesome. But I can get into it later if you guys want, but I don't think it's going to happen anymore. I think with everything going on, whether it's true or not, with everything going on, it's probably not going to happen. So unfortunately, that's pretty much over. So with running back, Ty Johnson and Josh Adams make a pretty damn good duo. Add a running back in later rounds. Again, this is where good GMs make their money. Good GMs make their money in the later rounds. Look at who, Joe Douglas found. Bryce Hall, our best cornerback last year, later round guy. Bless Austin, who we're hoping to have a big step back, 3rd year, later round guy. All these guys, later round guys. Running back wise, if you guys want a couple guys to look at, Khalif Herbert would be one. Kyle Kylan Hill. Kylan Hill's another. Definitely check him out as a later round running back. And also, this guy's kind of under everybody's radar, but he shouldn't be. If you want to check this guy out, I think he runs old school. He reminds me of old school running backs. Elijah Mitchell. Check out Elijah Mitchell. I think he'll impress you. Believe he's University of Lafayette. So 3 later running backs. Again, running back is not the glamour position it was anymore. You don't need the Le'Veon Bell. You don't need the $50 million running back. Telling you guys, Ty Johnson and Josh Adams, underappreciated, make a good duo together because they complement each other nicely. Add a running back in later rounds. That's my opinion. One of those later round running backs, add him to the mix. You still got Pirine. You guys know I'm not a huge fan of Pirine. I've told you how I felt about him. He's not the biggest guy. It's only about 216. He's not a power back. He's not going to, mow through somebody. So I would hope he was fast, but he's not. I mean, he's not that fast. He's not that quick. He's a good pass catcher. That I will give LaMichael Perrine. He's a good pass catcher, and I hope he proves me wrong. But the 3 of them plus a rookie should make a good committee. And running back by committee is the way a lot of teams do it this year, just in general as of now. So that's running back. Blocking wise. Yep. Donnie brings it up. Perrine out of the league. You guys remember, just throwing back a little bit when I talked about the draft last year, I said it. I've been consistent with it. Joe Douglas took almost all guys on my board, except for 2. Just 2 guys. It was LaMichael Perrine and Jabari Zuniga. And again, the way I looked at them is I don't hate the picks. I just felt like they should have gone later. Perrine, again, I'm not thrilled with his skill sets. Figured he should be a lot faster or a lot stronger, in my opinion. I mean, pick one or the other. Or Zuniga didn't have a lot of college production. He was hurt a lot, so he was drafted kind of on talent and physical ability alone, which is awesome, but not worth a 3rd-round pick, in my opinion. So if those guys would have went 5th, 6th, I probably wouldn't hate the picks, I'll be honest. But yeah, Donnie, you could be right. Perrine could be out of the league. Ty Johnson, Josh Adams, that's where it's at. Add a rookie, now you're cooking. Now you have a running back by committee that can make some stuff happen. And all 3 of those guys I mentioned, Hill, Herbert, and Mitchell, all guys that are elusive, quick, and pass-catching backs. So moving on to blocking. You need a fullback, a blocking tight end. We signed Tyler Kroft. Tyler Kroft is an underrated signing because Tyler Kroft is actually one of the better blocking tight ends in the league. I mean, he's not great, but he's better than average. He's an above average blocking tight end, which when you had a team last year that couldn't run to save their friggin' lives, you want, Turtle, you want a blocking tight end. Now, because Kroft got signed, I feel like Trevon Wesco isn't getting enough appreciation. Guys, Wesco can block. Wesco is a beast. Wesco might actually in camp wind up being a better blocker than Kroft. I'm going to throw that out there. Wesco could win the blocking side. Very possible. But man, if you're running, you take Herndon out, 2 tight end sets on the edge, you put Kroft and Wesco, that's an excellent formation. That is an excellent running formation with 2 really good blocking tight ends that can pass catch. I mean, Wesco and Kroft are not going to be, 500-yard a guy, seasoned guys, but they can catch some balls. So that's interesting. Again, you factor Herndon in with his catching ability. So that's a tight end. I also think we could draft a tight end potentially. A lot of different ways to go. We could draft one, but honestly, I'm not too bad right now with, the combination of Herndon, Griffin, Kroft, Wesco. That's not a bad 4. That's not a bad 4 at all. So, yeah, and Turtle mentions it right here. So Hunter Henry, I'll bring it up quick. I don't hate Hunter Henry by any means, but the way I look at him is he was a first-round pick. Hunter Henry was a first-round tight end. When you're a first-round tight end, there's a level of production that's expected from you, and he's never come close. He's never lived up to the production. So I would sign Hunter Henry if it wasn't expensive, if he wasn't, looking to be paid like he was a first-round guy. So Donnie makes a good point, too. Herndon could definitely be a surprise cut. It's possible. I mean, I don't think so, especially because he's in his last year. Herndon's in his last year. Why cut him? I mean, out of all the options, he's probably the best receiving option, my man. Donnie, I would say he's probably the best receiver out of them, but the best blockers by far are, Wesco and Kroft. And Kroft and Wesco aren't bad pass catchers. I mean, they're not like, going to be huge guys, but they can catch the ball. They'll make a couple of, 15, 20 yards a game. They'll do that. So, which is, not bad. So, again, I'm going to come back to it, guys. Just want to, go through all the different guys we got. Justin Hardy. Talk about Justin Hardy for a second. Justin Hardy is another underappreciated signing because people forget how important special teams are. When you're kicking off the ball or punting the ball, stopping a team on the 5 or the 10 as opposed to the 25 or the 35, that could be the difference between a win and a loss. That could be the difference between going home and moving on to the next round in the playoffs. That is crucial. And man, Hardy is not just a gunner. He's the best gunner. He's considered the best gunner in the NFL at the moment. Saints fans, Saints players, they were sad to see him go unanimously across the board. They were all so sad to see him go. They wish he resigned. I'm telling you guys, that's what you want. That's what you want when you're signing a guy. You want the other team to be like, oh, we lost them. You don't want them to be like, oh, okay. You want them sad. So fans, players, unanimously upset they lost Hardy. I put some footage up. Man, this kid, he gets to the guy catching the ball, and he gets there like a lightning bolt. And if you want proof of it, look at the interview he gave, guys. Look at the interview he did when he gave for the Jets. Second he was signed, he sat down. They asked him why he plays as hard as he does, why he runs as fast as he does. He pointed to his heart, said it's about heart. But he said that at the end of the day, he reminds himself that he has to feed his kids, that he has to win, that he promised his mother in heaven that he was going to win. Man, that's the stuff you want to hear. I'm listening to Hardy talk, and I'm like, let's go. This guy gets it. He wants to be there, and that's the point. That's what Joe's bringing in. Joe's bringing in guys that want to play football, that want to dominate, that want to, make the last play. These are the kind of guys that Joe's bringing in. And it's exciting when you see a guy like Hardy, saying stuff like that. Like, I'm going to play hard every day like my life depends on it. It's exactly what he said. So that is a fantastic signing right there. Now, I'm missing two of the best ones, and I'm going to bring them up right now. The two best signings we've done are on the defensive side of the ball. Guys, Joe Douglas told us, he gave us the keys to the castle. The first day, he said, I build through the trenches. That's what Joe Douglas told us. And I was like, this is my guy. This is who I've been looking for. This is my guy. Because as you see, I got my Nick Mangold jersey. I'm a big offensive line guy, a big defensive line guy, a big edge guy, which I count the edge as part of the trenches there. That's where football is won and lost, guys. That's the key right there. Joe gets it. He gets it because last year, he took the first offensive lineman that we've taken in the first round since 2006. 2006 was the last time we took an offensive lineman in the first round. Joe rectifies that by not just taking an offensive lineman. Man, he takes my offensive lineman. I wanted Becton so long. I told you guys, you remember, for 2 years I wanted Becton. The day we took Sam, I was high on Becton. I loved that kid. I was talking about him for a year plus to anybody that would hear about it. Man, Joe gets it. That's why I'm going to come back to when we talk about offensive line, because we seem to have, he likes the same guys like me. He likes the gritty guys. He likes the guys that take it personal, which is one thing you got to keep in mind about Cameron Clark. We're going to come back to that. But the defensive side of the ball, the defensive line, Douglas said he's going to build through the trenches. And what does he do? He gets us an edge. That alone should be drop the mic. That alone is it. Guys, how many elite edge rushers have we had in the last 2 decades? Shoot it out to me. How many elite edge rushers have we had in the last 2 decades? 20 years. 20 years. You know how many we've had? He's right. Turtle's right. 1. That's it. His name was John Abraham. That's it. That's not a list. That's one name. We haven't had top edge rushers in a while. And man, when we first signed Carl Lawson, if you guys remember, I was about it. I was like, he had a fantastic rookie season where he had over 8.5 sacks. But since then, he's only had 11.5. It hasn't translated But then, I thought back. I was like, think about a guy like Leonard Williams. He was always playing at a high level. He was always a fantastic guy, consistently getting to the quarterback, but the numbers weren't there. So I decided to look back a little bit, dig a little deeper, look, beyond the sacks, beyond those numbers. Man, you guys have probably heard me talk about this. If you want to get excited about Lawson, man, I'm about to make you run through a brick wall. You're going to be so excited about Lawson. You ready for this? Last season, in 2020, do you know how many quarterback hits Carl Lawson had? So we lost our connection for a second. 32, guys. 32. Last season, Quinnen, our top guy getting to the quarterback, got their 14 QB hits. John Franklin Myers had 13. Put them together. They still do not equal how many times Carl Lawson hit the damn quarterback. Man, when I saw this stat, I thought it had to be wrong. I triple checked it. I was like, that can't be right. There's no way this guy got to the quarterback 32 times. That's crazy. Well, he did. And you know what he did the season before? He got to the quarterback 22 times. This man has 54 quarterback hits in just 2 seasons. That is insanity. That's an insane number. Now, if we go by QB knockdowns, which is even more important of a stat, because, hitting the guy is one thing, taking him down to the earth is another. So QB knockdowns, the most important stat when it comes to that, other than sacks. He had 27 last year. You know where that ranked in the entire NFL? First. Carl Lawson was first in QB knockdowns in all of 2020. He dominated. The next below him was TJ Watt, who had 26, and he had 15 and a half sacks. So think about what we're saying here for a second. TJ Watt had one less quarterback knockdown than Carl Lawson, yet he had 15 sacks. Lawson only had 5.5. Yet he hit the quarterback 32 crazy amount of times. That tells you this man is gold. Remember when I told you guys about Shaq Barrett? Remember I was saying how he was always great, how the years he had 1.5, 2.5 sacks, he still had 84 grade PFFs. Edge rushers don't have 84 grade PFFs when they have 2 sacks. It's because like Lawson, like Barrett, they've always played at a high level. They've always played at an elite level. The production just wasn't there. It just wasn't working out. But what happened when Shaq Barrett switched teams? The light went on, and he had 19 and a half sacks in 1 year. I'm telling you guys, get ready for Carl Lawson. Man, you hear those numbers, you should be excited. Carl Lawson is the first excellent, pretty much basically elite. 54 quarterback hits in 2 years. That sounds pretty freaking elite to me. So it's our first elite edge rusher in 20 years. I am excited. Joe gave us something we have needed for a long time. A long time. And he didn't just end there. What did he do the other day? He got us Sheldon Rankins. Guys, Sheldon Rankins is a beast. Check out my Twitter feed. I put some footage up. Rankins blasted this guard. He didn't even know what happened. 2 seconds later, he's back on his ass. He's getting to the quarterback. He's also got a wicked spin move. Sheldon Rankins has an unbelievable spin move. He has a pretty damn good swim move, too. The dude's got an excellent pass rush repertoire. The guy's got an excellent pass rush tree. He spins, he swims, but he's also a bull. This guy's a beast. This is how you guys have to think about this. Sheldon Rankins was a top pick when he went. He was in the first-round pick. He was expected to be great. It hasn't translated exactly to that yet, but he was expected to be great. Sheldon Rankins has the potential to be a second Quinnen Williams. That's how you need to look at it. He, on his best days, if he lives up, it's an if. It is an if. But if he lives up to the status he's supposed to be at, again, if you watch this kid, he's a beast, bowling through guards when he's lined up on the edge, sometimes even in the middle, swim moves. Excellent spin moves. Man, this guy is great. This kid has so much potential. Again, first round pick back in 2017. What does Douglas do? He gives him a cheap deal. He gives him a 2-year, $17 million deal. That's not a lot of money. That's not a lot of money at all. Or I'm reading Feeney. But Rankins, I don't have the numbers directly in front of me, but Rankins didn't get a huge contract either. It's basically a prove-it deal. But the way you need to look at it is if Rankins lives up to the status that he was supposed to be, it's like having two Quinnen Williams. Imagine having two Quinnen Williams in the center of that line. And now Carl Lawson, with his 54 QB hits, with his 27 top of the NFL pressures, leading the edge. Man, oh man. Douglas said he was going to build through the trenches. And Joe Douglas has delivered. Not on offense yet, and we're going to talk about that. He has not delivered on the offensive line yet, but man, that defensive line, he has built it. So, talking about the defensive line quick is, again, how we can line up again next year. When I look at John Franklin Myers, you guys remember, you saw my 4-3 article I wrote. The dude was dominant on the interior. Last season, he wasn't bad on the edge, but he was a beast on the interior. Because he's very quick, but he's also strong, that rare combination makes him much more of a matchup nightmare for guards than tackles. So he was much more dominant in the middle there, I'm telling you. But he's not a slow guy. He's a pretty athletic guy. He's close to 300 pounds, so I really want to see him on the interior. But when I think about wanting to have Lawson, Rankins, Quinnen, and no, you're right, Turtle, my man. You're right. Yeah, Rankins is totally a nose tackle, and that's the beauty of it, guys. In this new 4-3, remember, we're in a 4-3 defense now. We need 2 dominant nose tackles or defensive interior linemen and 2 edge setters. In a 4-3, you don't really want a guy like John Franklin Myers on the edge. You prefer a guy like Lawson and maybe Bryce Huff. I was going to bring that up, guys. Don't sleep on Bryce Huff. You guys know I wrote articles on it. I love Bryce Huff. This kid lit it up in the Cotton Bowl, lit it up in the Senior Bowl. I expected him to be drafted. I thought Bryce Huff was going to go like in the 5th or 6th or worst. He was going to go in the 7th round. Man, you saw him last year. He's a beast. He can blow through guys, but he's got a decent pass repertoire too. I like the kid. I am very, very high on Bryce Huff. So, and Donnie mentions it as well. Edge is deep in this draft. I definitely think, I was going to say that in a second, I think Douglas is going to address edge in this draft. Now, some excellent edge rushers I like, the 2 boys from Pitt, Patrick Jones II and Rashad Weaver. Prefer Patrick Jones II, but the 2 of them are fantastic. Excellent edge rushers, prototypical for a 4-3 system. I don't think we're going to get a guy like Jalen Phillips. I'm a little low on Ujulari because Ujulari is a little smaller than I would really like for that system. He's excellent, though. He's very athletic, but I would take Patrick Jones II before him. However, when it comes to size, there's one guy if you want to check out. I've mentioned him before. Chris Rumph. Chris Rumph of Duke. Guys, Chris Rumph, don't look at his measurables. Don't even look. Well, I was going to tell him to use. You know what? It kind of ruins it. I take it back. It kind of ruins it. But what I do, and I think I mentioned it to you guys before, I'm like, in a way, almost the anti-combine guy. Like, I don't care as much about, the prototypical height of the receiver, the prototypical size of this. You can't measure heart. You can't measure what a person brings to that team. And you need to look at different characteristics because size doesn't always tell the correct picture. Best example, I think I gave you guys 2 weeks ago. You look at a guy like Kadarius Toney. He's very athletic, very agile, but he's not an outside guy by any means. He doesn't do a great job of creating separation in physical one-on-one matchups. He's more of an agility guy. However, you have a guy like Dwayne Eskridge, almost identical in size, completely different player. Eskridge is more like a T.Y. Hilton. I've made that comparison. I don't know if anyone else has said it before. Eskridge totally reminds me of T.Y. Hilton, a smaller receiver that's extremely physical and can line up on the outside. So I'm not, again, big with measurables. Best example on the Jets is Frankie Louvu. Guys, Frankie Louvu did a damn good job getting to the quarterback last year. Frankie Louvu only weighs 236 pounds. You wouldn't have a guy like that rushing the edge. Size isn't everything. So if you check out Chris Rumph at Duke, this kid, for a 235-pound edge rusher, he beasts 300-pound linemen. I've seen this guy put 300-pound linemen back that are almost 100 pounds more than him. It's crazy. And because he's only 235, man, this kid is fast. Without a doubt, I'm saying it right now, Chris Rumph II is the most athletic edge rusher in this draft, period. When it comes to agility, and his pass rush moves are fast. When this kid spins, don't blink. Don't blink because you'll miss it. He is really fast, really quick, but he's strong for his size. So again, you look at a guy like Frankie Louvu, was another example I gave. Size isn't everything. Don't get caught up in size all the time. There's so many examples. Another one would be Devonta Smith. You look at Devonta Smith on paper, the kid's 175 pounds soaking wet. That's not a wide receiver one. Watch the kid play. He is extremely physical, makes one-on-one catches, makes NFL-like grabs. He's amazing. He is a true wide receiver one. So I'm not like, like the Elway looking for the natural talent. Same thing with the quarterbacks. My guy doesn't need to be 6'6". And again, the point is if you're going for a guy that's 6'6", you miss out on a Russell Wilson. You miss out on a Kyler Murray. So yeah, Turtle Man, I'm telling you right now, my man, I've said it before. I've tweeted it out. Dwayne Eskridge, his comp to me is T.Y. Hilton. A little guy, but he's extremely physical. Okay, Roddy White's a damn good one too. I'll give you that. That's a damn good one. But T.Y. Hilton, just very physical. You wouldn't think he'd be an excellent outside wide receiver, but he is because he can make contested catches and create separation. And Eskridge is one of those guys. He's a wide receiver sleeper of mine. So back to Rankins, like I was mentioning before. Rankins had 9 quarterback hits last year. Rankins was really good. So again, this kid has a ton of potential. If Rankins lives up to what he was supposed to be, I'm telling you guys, the best way to look at it, it's like having 2 Quinnans on the interior of that line. Carl Lawson on one end. And again, I've told you, I feel like Franklin Myers fits better on the interior. But hell, now that we got Rankins, put him on the other end. You know what? I'm fine with that. I'm sold. Put him on the other end. That's fine with me. But again, don't sleep on Bryce Huff. Telling you guys, do not sleep on Bryce Huff. That kid is crazy talented. So, the rest of the guys I want to bring up for you guys. LaMarcus Joyner. Let's talk about LaMarcus Joyner because that is an underappreciated signing. Turtle, shout out to you, my man. You mentioned Joyner before. Underappreciated signing. Now, LaMarcus Joyner, if you look at him over the course of his career, PFF grades. For the majority of his career, he's lined up in the slot as a slot cornerback. And you know what? He hasn't been that good. He's been average. I mean, he's not terrible. Don't get me wrong. He's not terrible in any way, shape, or form, but he hasn't been that good. However, at free safety, if you look at just when LaMarcus Joyner lined up at free safety, he has a PFF of 90.1. 90.1. Joe knows what he's doing, guys. He's creating a trio. LaMarcus Joyner played about 1,400 snaps at free safety over his career, 90 PFF rating. He's not a box safety. His box rating is a 51. That shit sucks. But he is an excellent free safety. So you have LaMarcus Joyner at free safety. You have Marcus May at strong safety. Marcus May can also play in the box, as we saw last year when he blitzed and was a physical force. And Davis is the same way. Ashton Davis is an absolute speed demon. He's an absolute burner. If you haven't watched it, watch this kid run track. It's like watching Javelin Guidry run track. Everyone starts running, and then one kid just pulls ahead. That's Ashton Davis, guys. Ashton Davis, yeah, Turtle. Ashton Davis and the nickel. I'm thinking the same thing, guys. However, though, because we're talking about, I was going to get to cornerbacks. We haven't talked about corner yet. But I have my personal opinion, a guy I'd like to see more in the nickel. But again, Ashton Davis is fast as hell, good in coverage, and he's also a box safety. You guys remember the hit he put on Cam Newton last year? Don't tell me you forget that. Man, he blasted over the edge, came right around. He blew Cam Newton up. Cam Newton's a big guy, and he blew him up. So we have a safety trio. We have versatility. So again, LaMarcus Joyner, free safety. Marcus May, strong safety. Beautiful for that. Yeah, knocked him out for a quarter turtle. He took Cam Newton down. And we all know Cam Newton's a big guy. He is without a doubt a big guy. So May and Ashton Davis are interchangeable at all safety positions as well as in the box. You have LaMarcus Joyner specifically at free safety playing back in coverage as well. That's a hell of a combo. Telling you guys, Douglas is not getting enough appreciation. Think about all this. We just talked about wide receiver. It sounds great. We just talked about defensive line and edge. I got you guys psyched. It sounds great. Safety sounds great. He is having an underappreciated free agency. Underappreciated free agency. And remember, this isn't what it's all about. You guys remember what it's about. It's about the draft. It's about the draft all day. Remember, last Douglas free agency wasn't that great. He didn't do much. It was his draft. He killed it in the draft, taking player after player that was on my board that I loved. He killed it. I said back in April that he dominated that draft. Everyone's like, we haven't seen it yet. Now we've seen it. I'm telling you guys, now you saw what I'm telling you back then. Douglas nailed that first draft, and he's going to nail the second draft. Telling you. And we're going to get to that. I want to talk to you guys about the draft. So, just a little bit more about that. So we talked about LaMarcus Joyner. Interesting guy to bring up. Jarrad Davis. Interestingly, the first signing the Jets made. First guy they signed was Jarrad Davis. And I know a little bit about him, just a little bit. But I know most of you guys, when you heard the Jets sign Jarrad Davis, you're like, who the hell's that? Who's Jarrad Davis? So Jarrad Davis, to give you a little background on the man, where are we here? Jarrad Davis was the 21st overall pick back in 2017. So if you look at it, Douglas is killing it with first-round picks. I mean, Corey Davis was the 5th overall in 2017. Jarrad Davis was the 21st overall in 2017. And Jarrad Davis, 1-year deal. $7 million, 1-year deal. That's a flyer. He's taking a flyer on this guy. And why is Jarrad Davis such an, under-the-radar signing? I'll tell you why. When we shifted to the 4-3, man, especially we brought in Lawson, we brought in Rankins, man, we can address edge in the draft, but I'm already excited. I am already ready to go with this defensive line and this edge combination. I am excited. But when we switched to the 4-3, we realized we were kind of doing bad at linebacker. We realized we were really, really weak at linebacker. So we needed outside linebackers. We need a guy that can drop back in coverage, play well in coverage, also be a decent blitzer, but be a good tackler. That's what Jarrad Davis was supposed to be. When Jarrad Davis was drafted, he was 21st overall for a reason. He was outstanding in college, and that's what he was. He was a drop-back coverage linebacker that was a decent blitzer and an excellent tackler. So it's a 1-year deal. It's a flyer. Hopefully it works out. If this works out, we have an excellent, 4-3 outside linebacker to put next to Mosley. We need one more. My personal feeling, Patrick Onwuasor, Neville Hewitt. They're both going to come cheap. Both of them are going to be cheap. They're both sitting out there. Sign them both. I think either one might be able to make a decent 4-3 outside linebacker. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they're going to break out and be fantastic, but they could be decent and they'd be cheap. You can sign them cheap. So that's what I'd like to see Joe do. Go get back Patrick Onwuasor. Go get back Neville Hewitt to play that other 4-3 outside linebacker. We can draft one. In the draft, I love Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, but as I was going to mention you guys when I get to the draft, I feel like offensive line is too important now. And if you guys have, you follow me on Twitter, you've seen my thought process. I'm super high on J.C. Horn. You know that. I'm super high on Owusu-Koramoah, but I just can't pass on Humphrey anymore. That's just it. And I'm going to come back to that, but I just can't. I just in good conscience can't. I just can't do it. So mention Jarrad Davis. Last one I'll bring up, and then we'll talk about the offensive line a little bit. So, Turtle, while I'm doing this, just Ask me. I'm just curious what you mean by that. Be a little more specific, and I can answer that last question. That's funny, my man. I like that. If you guys didn't see that, that's some good humor. That's funny. Well, I'll be honest. Sometimes it's just crazy rambling. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just playing. It's all thought out. I got it all going on up here. Don't you worry. That was some funny stuff, my man. So, talking about Feeney for a second. Dan Feeney. Now, Dan Feeney is not a flashy signing in any way, shape, or form. Not even a flashy signing. However, if you look at what Dan Feeney has done, over the last 4 years, he's missed one game. One. In 4 years, he's been in 16, 16, 16, and 15. That's consistency. That's important. The Jets have had problems at offensive line. They've had injury at offensive line. So again, Feeney, and here's the thing though. He was the 71st overall pick back in 2017. Again, another 2017 guy. He was 71st overall for a reason. I actually thought in that draft that he was a good pick. I liked him. I'll be honest. I liked him. I thought his skills would translate to the NFL because he's the kind of lineman Joe Douglas looks for. Now, let's talk about that for a second. Feeney, watch him, guys. The dude's got a mullet for a reason. Man, this kid plays dirty. This kid plays rough. This kid gets down and he hits. He will put you down. He's a finisher. He's like a smaller Becton in a way. Same thing with Cameron Clark. So Joe Douglas is showing us what he likes in offensive linemen. And Joe Douglas is showing us that he likes men that can dominate. He likes men that can not only hold their own, but that take it personal, that play with an edge, that put people down. And I'll tell you, that's my offensive lineman. Man, those are guys that I like. Those are guys that I want. And that's why you guys have known for over a year now, I have done nonstop, nothing but talk about Creed Humphrey. And that is because, as you've seen in all my tweets about him, remember I gave that tweet about Mangold, the center position is so important, guys. It's so much more important than just a blocker. Think back. Think back to Kevin Mawai days. Think back to the Nick Mangold days. How many times did we see Nick Mangold adjust the play for Sanchez, adjust the line to pick up a blitz, call out an incoming? He points to who's coming, shows this guy's coming, incoming this blitzer. He's a second quarterback. Your center is a second quarterback on the field. And unfortunately, there's only a handful amount of guys that are like that in the NFL. That's a rare trait to, be able to understand defensive alignment and understand what this shift means and understand this now means that he's coming instead of him. It's a knowledge that not everyone has. And don't get me wrong, I don't hate Connor McGovern. I don't hate Connor McGovern by any means, but he doesn't have it. He does not have those traits. He's not pointing to anything out there. In fact, if you watch last year, everyone says, yeah, it's not his fault because the guard play was bad. Guys, when the guard play was bad with Nick Mangold, you don't think Nick pulled those guys to the side? You don't think Nick said something? You don't think he got angry? Your center is your leader. I blame Connor for the bad offensive interior line play because the center is the general, the second quarterback. He is so important, and that is why you need Creed Humphrey. Ask Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray will tell you all about it. He calls out plays. He calls out alignments. He's got your back, and he plays with a chip. He plays with an edge like Mangold does. So I'm telling you guys, I like so many players, but I can't not do it anymore. That's it. For me now, it's Creed Humphrey at 23. That's it. Because you guys know in all my mock drafts, I had Creed Humphrey at 23, at 34, and everyone was saying, oh, you're crazy. Man, that's way too high. Creed Humphrey's going to be going in the 50s. But I'm telling you guys, I said it back then. People are seeing it now. Humphrey is incredible. He is not only the best center in this draft, he might be arguably the best offensive lineman because of these cerebral traits that I'm talking about. He possesses in spades, in absolute spades. So Creed Humphrey is an absolute must at 23. Now at 34, you know what I want to do? Two guys, either Wyatt Davis or Landon Dickerson. Two Alabama guys. Either we're getting the Alabama center or we're getting the Alabama guard. Now, one of them should be there. What's interesting about both of them, they both fell because of injury. Landon Dickerson and Wyatt Davis, if it weren't for injury, would easily be first-round picks. There wouldn't even be a debate. In fact, I'm comfortable. I could easily say that if Wyatt Davis wasn't hurt, he would have been in conversations with AVT. You wouldn't have just heard about Vera Tucker. You would have heard about Davis being just as good because he is just as good. But he had a bad injury. And again, you guys remember I talk about injuries. It was a bad accident. He got twisted up. That happens. It wasn't like, he was running and it just popped. He had a bad injury. Same thing with Dickerson. So I think the two of them will be back. Man, guys, if we get Humphrey with the 23rd pick, and then we get Davis or Dickerson with the 34th. Think about that line. You got Becton now manning the left tackle. You shift McGovern to guard, which is better for McGovern. Guys, that's the problem. He's struggling with the cerebral stuff. Watch the play last year. How many times do you see him jump up and then change his side? You watch him shift. You know what that shift means? I cut the wrong way, or I didn't see it. I didn't know that guy was coming and he was going to pick him up. That's what that means. You don't see that from guys like Humphrey and Mangold. I'm telling you. McGovern is an excellent run blocker. That's his iota. That's how he wins. Put him at guard. Put Humphrey at center, Wyatt or Dickerson at the other guard. Now, Turtle, you mentioned it. I've tweeted about Alejandro Villanueva a lot. You guys have saw I put out Villanueva a lot. Now, I'm a big Villanueva guy because he's big, he's a beast, he's tough, but not just that. He's an Army guy. I mean, that's what you want, right? You want guys that loyalty matters, drive matters. No one's ever questioned that with Villanueva. There's been things people have questioned with Villanueva. Drive, passion, energy, fight. That was never one of them. That was never anything anybody ever questioned with him. Turtle's right. He's the best tackle available right now. Man, if it were me, I would sign Villanueva and I would cut Fant. That's what I would do if it were me. I would sign Villanueva, who is pretty damn good, not amazing, but good on Ben Roethlisberger's blind side. And what happens when you shift the blind side tackle to right tackle? 90-something% of the time, they're better because left tackle is a much harder position. So put Villanueva at right tackle. I think he'll have one of his best years, period, and I would cut Fant. But either way, we don't get him. We keep Fant. We still got to get Humphrey, Davis or Dickerson, build that interior line. So that's the biggest weakness right now. So the best part about Dan Feeney, like I mentioned before, is his durability. He was healthy and only missed one game in 4 years, which is what you want. And again, he was below average, significantly below average. In fact, I'd say he sucked. He basically sucked so far in the NFL. But he can turn it around. He's not an old guy, and he's good depth. He's a quality depth signing. And again, I'm telling you, Joe did it last year. He got Becton. He got my guy, left tackle first. We got to go Creed Humphrey at 23. Can't pass up on him. Then we take the guard with the second pick. Now that offensive line is fixed. So I agree. Joe Douglas says build through the trenches. He fixed the defensive line. The defensive line looks great. The interior offensive line is the problem now. And that is why, again, if I were Douglas, 23 and 34, that's going to be interior offensive linemen, in my opinion. So that's offensive line. We talked about receiver, tight end, quarterback, running back, defensive line. We talked about linebackers. Say corner. That's it. Last position is corner. So right now, thanks to Douglas's very good free agency. Again, I would say very good, if not excellent. Because again, he got the elite edge rusher. He got Sheldon Rankins, LaMarcus Joyner's an excellent free safety. The list goes on and on and on. He filled a lot of needs. We had needs, 4-3 outside linebacker, edge, wide receiver. He filled those needs. Corner is one of our biggest needs. So right now, I tweeted that earlier if you guys didn't check it out. Our biggest needs after the current free agency is interior offensive line and cornerback. Those are the biggest needs and the biggest problems right now. Now, Turtle, quick shout out. You mentioned slot before. You guys know I'm a big Javelin Guidry guy. Man, here's how you have to think about Javelin Guidry. Last season and the season before, Brian Poole was the best coverage corner on our team, and he graded as such. When Brian Poole got hurt last year and Guidry came in, did you notice a dip in play? Because I didn't. That's how you need to look at it. Guidry stepped in as an undrafted rookie for a proven veteran, best cover guy on our team, and we didn't skip a beat. Guidry graded only 3 points below Poole in coverage last year. Poole was 77-something. Guidry was 73-something. He was 3 or 4 points below Poole in coverage as an undrafted rookie. Now, Guidry is also burner fast, like ridiculous fast, like no joke, 4.29 40 fast, like keep up with Tyreek Hill fast. Guidry is a burner. Now, what we need to do, we need legit outside cornerbacks, and we could also possibly use another inside guy. So at 23, if J.C. Horn is available, you guys know I'm a huge J.C. Horn guy. I've been talking about J.C. Horn for years. 2 years ago, I was high on J.C. Horn back in 2019 when he first started coming out and putting good seasons together. Back then, he was considered a third-round pick. I was like, oh, man, I found a sleeper. This guy's a sleeper of mine. He lit it up this season. He kicked ass, took names in 2020, and now we'll be lucky if he's on the board at 23. So don't get me wrong. If we take Horn at 23, I'm not going to be upset. But again, you guys heard my logic. Offensive line is it. I mean, that's how you win. You have a rookie quarterback behind you. You need a good offensive line. Remember, like Joe Douglas said, football is won and lost in the trenches. He fixed the defensive line fantastically. Interior offensive line needs a lot of work. I'm telling you, I just can't pass on Humphrey. That's just how I feel. As much as I love Horn, I'm Humphrey at 23 all day now. I just can't not. Because again, he's proven it. People have said it. Top guys are now saying he could be a first-round pick. The word is out on Creed Humphrey. So I can't afford for him to fall to 34. That's just not an option in my opinion. If you take Horn at 23 and he doesn't make it to 34, in my opinion, that's a bigger miss, in my opinion. Missing out on Humphrey. So I got to take him at 23. So how would I address cornerback? Now, Turtle mentioned Sherman is still available. Again, not problem, because I love Richard Sherman. You guys remember, I was all over him. I was saying how Sherman hasn't lost a step. He was hurt last year. People are saying he was slow. The guy was hurt, and he's in his 30s. What the hell do you expect? The year before that, he still graded out as one of the best corners in the league. And he is still, to this day, when it comes to zone coverage, reading the quarterback's eyes, and pressing a man quick at the line, Sherman's still one of the best in the league. Period. One of the best in the league. But I just don't see him in the cards anymore because you guys remember I kept saying with Sherman, he was going to be the obvious signing. I felt, Saleh was going to go to him and say, listen, I need your leadership. Cornerback is the biggest hole on my team. I need your leadership. I need your mentorship. I need you to teach my guys and be a coach and leader on the field. If he hasn't signed with the Jets yet, I just don't feel like it's going to happen. I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I hope we still get Sherman. But the way I look at it is I feel like it would have happened already. Saleh would have turned to him, told him I need you, and he would have followed him here. People said he wasn't going to go to the West Coast, but he was going to sign with the Saints. Sherman was all gung-ho to sign with the Saints for a little while. So coast don't matter. He'll come out here. So I just don't know if it's in the cards anymore. Again, I hope it happens. I do. I just don't know if it's in the cards. In the draft, because that's what it's going to have to be. We need to address corner in the draft. So again, when it comes to this draft, our two biggest needs right now. What up, Jimmy? Big shout out. My man Jimmy's here. Shout out to you, my man. Like always, you guys asked some questions through. Appreciate you being here, my brother. We were just going to talk quick. We were mentioning the cornerbacks. There are some guys I like in the draft. The way I think we can fix this cornerback situation. Because again, like I said, after free agency, our biggest need is interior offensive lineman and cornerback. So at corner, I am super high on Asante Samuel Jr. Asante Samuel Jr. is amazing. I'll be honest, when I looked at Asante Samuel Jr., I figure, okay, he's a slot guy. He's a slot guy through and through. But I've had at least 2 people now tell me that they think he might be able to play on the outside, that he's physical enough. And you know what? He is physical. Don't get me wrong. Asante Samuel Jr. is an extremely physical cornerback for his size. He's only about 5'10", 180 pounds, which is why I feel like he's got to be a slot guy. But he is incredibly physical. Incredibly physical. So if you watch, I put up some tape of him earlier today. Samuel Jr., he was checking Kyle Pitts. He was giving Pitts a run for his money. So Samuel Jr. would be a good way to go. Another great way to go for outside corners, I really like Elijah Molden, a Washington cornerback, and Rodarius Williams, Oklahoma State. Those are 3 corners that I really like in the draft, beside obviously J.C. Horn. Those are 3 later guys that I really like. My ideal draft right now, because of our needs, Zach Wilson at 2, Creed Humphrey at 23, Wyatt Davis at 34. If he's not there, Landon Dickerson. Hopefully Asante Samuel Jr. is there with the top 3rd round pick we have. I take him there. If not, Eric Stokes. Check out Eric Stokes, guys. Eric Stokes is a freaking burner. Eric Stokes ran a 4.25 40. This kid's faster than Guidry. Now, my issue with Stokes is I thought Stokes was small. Stokes measured as big as Tyron Campbell did. And I thought Campbell could be a CB1. I thought Stokes was going to come in at about, 5'10", 180 something. I don't have it in front of me, but I think he came in at 5'11", almost 6 foot at about 190 something, which is an outside corner. So don't sleep on Stokes. That's another one. And then with the next pick, either Molden or Williams, we get quarterback, 2 interior linemen, 2 corners. And that fixes the problems right there. And building through free agency, because that's the biggest problems we have right now. So that's it, guys. That's the team. That's our Jets. And again, you should be excited. Be excited about this free agency. You heard the stats I gave you about Carl Lawson, Sheldon Rankins again. Remember, like I said, if he lives up to his status, he can be like Quinnen. If he lives up to his potential, it's like having 2 Quinnen Williams on that interior. Then Lawson with his 50-something QB hits. Man, this is exciting. Defensive line is built. We have receivers. I'm pumped. I am pumped. So before we go, if you guys want to ask me any questions, shoot them out right now. Anything you want to ask me, anything I didn't address, feel free to ask me and I'd be happy to talk about it. So I'll give you a second if, again, anything you guys want to bring up. And that's the beauty of my podcast, guys. That's what I want to give here to you. I'm bringing in obviously it wasn't on video, it was on radio, but it's maybe like an FDR fireside chat we got going here. I'm talking to you. We're having a conversation. I'm telling you, about the guys I like, the players I'm fond of, and talk back, Turtle. Shout out to my man Turtle, very active in the chat. Appreciate it, my brother. Jimmy was active. Donnie was there. Jenny was there. Appreciate all you guys. Tell your friends, bring them on in. Top 2, 3 free agents. So Donnie, top 2, 3 free agents you still want to get. Well, Adoree Jackson is gone. We know that Adoree's gone. So obviously Richard Sherman. Again, I'm upset about it because, again, I feel like I said before, I feel like it would have happened already. I feel like Saleh would have reached out to him, like I was saying, had that conversation, and he would have came on already. So I'm just worried, man. I'm just worried that Sherman's not in the cards because it's taken this long. But I would definitely bring in Sherman. We need cornerback help. Offensive line, Villanueva.